Hello, everyone. We have Brittany with us today. She is an independent travel agent and she's going to fill us in on what she does. So, welcome, Brittany. For those of you who watched before, I did a video about becoming an independent travel agent, and Brittany was actually my inspiration. So, here she is. Thank you for joining us.
Hi.
So, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your brand?
Yeah. So, hi, everyone. My name is Brittany Hayward, and I am an independent travel advisor. My business name is Catch Me Travels, but I am an independent advisor for Fora Travel. I am in Charleston, South Carolina. So, born and raised, lived here my whole life. Um, and yeah, that's what else do we need to know? Married, I've got a little toy poodle. And yeah, that's about it.
Nice. Tell us a little bit about what you do as a travel agent with Fora.
Yes, so this will be in June. June will be my second year as a Fora Travel Advisor. So almost there at 2 years. So essentially, at this point, I've started to build my client base where I've got some return clients. Um, I can touch on this later probably, but I also am able to request leads from the Fora lead program. So I work with those clients and then trips in progress clients. So just making sure that all the details are in. This year in particular, I am working on a couple different group trips. So that's really exciting. I love getting groups out of the country, but with group trips comes with making sure everyone is paying the deposits and paying on time for all their payments and keeping track of that, not just for like one person or one couple, but like 10 plus people. So those things always keep me busy. Just the administrative side of things. So it's a lot of fun, like um, suggesting hotels and all that fun stuff. But then can't forget about the administrative side of things too.
Absolutely. I'm sure it's very time consuming. So
Yeah.
we'll talk about that in a little bit also. So what are your hours? Are you part-time or are you full-time as a travel agent?
It feels full time, but I guess I could technically say I'm part time. I do work like a daytime job, um, hybrid. So sometimes in the office, sometimes working from home, and then I've got my travel agent business. So that is, I would say, if I think about the amount of time I'm spending on it per week, minimum 20 hours. But I mean, weeks that I have clients in travel or like when I have a big group that I'm working on, 40 plus hours. Just, weekends, evenings, off the side of my desk sometimes, things like that.
Right. I talked about quoting for people that don't call you back sometimes. So quoting is very time consuming. So I can
It
only
really is.
imagine,
I don't
especially
think
for a
people
big trip.
realize that that quoting is time consuming, especially if you're working with a travel advisor who's not just doing something really cookie cutter and just like going to the same resort all the time. Someone's like taking the time to like figure out what you may like and like looking like there are so many hotels, so many resorts to choose from. So like if someone is actually like taking the time and looking through all of that for you, like it's on this end, it's a lot of work sometimes. So y'all like just reply.
Exactly. Exactly. How did you get started?
So funnily enough, I worked corporately for Amazon for about 11 years and I got laid off in June 2023, which, blessing in disguise. But while I was taking a break from job hunting, I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll do something to keep my mind working and, not just be at home hanging out all summer. So I saw ads for Fora, and if you're familiar with Fora Travel on your own social media, you've probably seen ads too. Fora has like a very robust social media marketing. So that year, I had just come off of my destination wedding in Puerto Rico, and yeah, at that point, I was like, I should have been paid for all the travel work I was doing, getting all my guests there. And so I was like, okay, this makes sense. I've got time to like dig into something. I thought it would be just a little hobby, but then it turned out to be like, oh, I like this as like an actual business. So, yeah, that's how I got started.
That is so ironic because both the times that I decided I wanted to do it, it was once I came off of a trip where I had done some legwork and I'm like, okay, I could be doing this. So that's very
Right.
interesting. I think it's a great way to get paid for your own travel, especially if you're taking a lot of trips. So That is awesome. So what is a typical day like in terms of your travel business?
Yeah, so I'm really bad at this and I need to get
Mhm.
better, but checking my email is like
Mhm.
I get up, thank the Lord for the day, brush my teeth, grab my phone, and I'm like, what's on my email? So 9 times out of 10, it's lots of, and you talked about this in your video a little bit about like how many emails you get as a travel advisor from hotel partners and this promotion and this sale. So lots of that. But what I'm mostly checking for is like client email. So has
Mhm.
someone, especially someone on travel, like have they emailed me about anything going on? Usually no, things are normally good. Um, and then also looking at like clients who have replied to me overnight. So, some people work different hours. And so like their time to email is like after I go to sleep because I'm like an early to bed girl. So checking for that, and then going about my day, more email checking. It's pretty much all day email and checking. And in the evenings is when I really plug in on my like client work. So looking at building itineraries, looking at proposals, things like that. I also schedule consultation calls with clients as needed. If someone wants to chat about their upcoming trip or if someone is planning a trip with me, I have free consultation calls. So I set those in the evening once, I'm off of work or, other people are also off of work. So it's a little bit of consultations in the evenings, trip planning, more emails, and then working on social media. I do that a lot throughout the day. So sometimes I'll see something that I'll share on my story quickly, or sometimes like in the middle of the day, it always happens that I have like some random idea. I'm like, oh, I need to make this post. So I'm like on Canva over on this computer, like doing work on this computer, on my phone, doing this. So a lot of multitasking, but I would say like 9 times out of 10, emails. Lots of emails.
Understandable. Everybody, Brittany's social media is impeccable. That is how I
Thank
saw
you.
her. So it looks great. So you mentioned that you saw ads for Fora. Was Fora your immediate go-to, or were you looking at other host agencies before you started with Fora?
Good question. And actually, so I mentioned my wedding, and my wedding was in January. I joined Fora in June. And so after that, people were like, oh, you did such a good job. You should be a travel agent. I'm like, you know what? I should because y'all stressed me out and I didn't get paid for this. And so after that, I did start to look, and it was very confusing to me about like, okay, who do you even go with, or like what company do you work with? There's so many different host agencies, and there's that website, host agency reviews, I want to say it is, where you can find out more about the different host agencies and read more. And I would go to a website, and one thing that was turning me off usually was that there was a high fee to like join. And I
Mhm.
was like, I don't really know if I even want to do this, so I don't want to pay this much money. And then I would go to other ones, and it just didn't seem like a right fit, or the commitment seemed too serious, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, when I wasn't sure if it was something I would really want to do. And so when Fora came along, I saw um, how flexible it seemed. And so like the way that I feel like their marketing, at least at that time, was positioned as like anybody can do travel, like you can do this part-time, you can do this full-time. And I'm like, okay, that speaks to me. And then the registration fee wasn't bad. I was like, okay, like if I try this out for a year, like if I hate it, that's not too bad of like an expense. So that is what drew me into Fora specifically. It felt like it was like I wasn't tied down to anything, and that was really important to me.
Definitely. And it is definitely very flexible. And what did you think in terms of the training and things of that nature when you were getting started out? What did you think of that?
I I actually really liked the training. And because I was laid off, so I had all this free time to do the training and things like that. I liked that it was at my own pace. So, like, I'm laying in bed, I want to like watch the training on my laptop. I loved that. I didn't have to like specifically join a live session on
Mhm.
something. And just thinking about people who work during the daytime, like that could have been hard too. I didn't have that problem,
Mhm.
but I was able to, kind of ramp up at my own pace. And because I did have all of that free time, I was able to ramp up pretty quickly. Now, that was back in 2023. Now in 2025, I don't know like how it is for first time people joining Fora, but like the technology, the training, like the onboarding, all of that has like really gotten better.
Mhm.
So for people who are joining like recently, lucky them. I'm sure like the training, one thing I do know, I think the training videos are a little bit shorter too and like broken down a little bit more so that you kind of see what you're learning instead of like one larger video that kind of goes over a lot of things. So yeah, but I found it to be really accessible and I attribute that to the time, the fact that I did have a lot of time though.
I agree. And I was working full time and I thought so too. Just looking at it the way, like you said, self-paced and everything's
Hmm.
broken down really well. So I agree. Was definitely a different experience for me. So tell me about your a big milestone or a big accomplishment with Fora.
Yeah, let's see. I got a couple. So I think the big thing for me was when I started with Fora, and I mean, I think this is true, but maybe not. But I think the highest level then was the pro level, which was selling over or selling at least $100,000 of commissionable travel for the year. So I was like, I want to do that. So last year I did hit pro for the first time last May. I set a goal. I was like, I want to do it by mid-year. I think my first year I was just trying to figure out like, okay, can I do this? And I can. Um, and so figuring that out, and then so my like going into 2024, I was like, okay, I want to do this by June, and I did it by May. So I was really proud about that. A couple other things I have hosted two two group trips at this point. So I hosted a group cruise on Virgin Voyages, and
Hmm.
I hosted my friends and family, which was kind of like a spinoff to my wedding, just this January in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. So group trips, love them, but they are a lot of work. So just getting those across the line, that was really exciting. One thing that I hear about in the travel agent world is getting commission with a comma. So, selling that amount that when you get your take home pay, like it's got a comma in it. So those big trips allowed me to get my first commissions with commas for, one trip. I'm trying to think what else. Just recently, actually last month, March 1st through the 4th, I was just in St. Vincent with Fora on the pro retreat. So able to go and meet some other Fora Pro agents and visit Sandals St. Vincent. So just having the opportunity to go on that trip and be chosen to attend those, that's another accomplishment. Yeah, I think that's a good bit.
Congratulations. Those are
Thank
pretty,
you.
pretty big. And you know what? You actually answered my next two questions because I was going to ask you how you accomplished that goal. So it was with group trips.
So part of it, my group trip was a big chunk, but honestly, as my business started to grow, I just had clients that were booking with me. So the group trip helped, and then other bookings helped push it across the line for sure.
Yes, I'm sure. Um, and you talked a little bit about going on that trip with Fora because of
Yeah.
the status that you reached. Do you get to travel often in that capacity, or how does that work?
So when you hit pro with Fora, you are given the opportunity to go on fam trips. And I think you touched on this a little
Mhm.
bit in your video. So you do have to hit that pro level, but like once you hit pro, a couple things unlock for you. So one is the leads that I talked about a little bit earlier. And so that's when, someone goes on Fora's website. And I think at the bottom there's like, do you want to go on the trip? And they can like plug in their name and like where they want to go, or if they're reaching out through social media, whatever avenue, like those leads will come into Fora. And then pros and above are able to request, the lead that comes in. So I book a lot of Caribbean, Mexico cruises, things like that. So when I see those come in, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll request it. And if it's granted to me, then I can work with that potential client to book them a trip. So I have my regular book of business with the clients that, I'm working with, or like people who know me, word of mouth kind of referrals. And then I can also work with those leads from time to time, when I have some free time. So that's one perk of becoming pro. And then the next step is, or not the next step, the other thing is the ability to go on fam trips. And so fam trips are Familiar, familiar, oh God, say the word for me.
Familiarization. I have
Thank
to
you.
take it slow too.
Yes, so those trips, and so essentially those are trips where you are able to go explore a new destination, explore a new resort, or doesn't necessarily have to be a new resort, but a property to learn about the property with the expectation that you'll share about the property, you will send clients there, you will book travel there for your clients, and so you get that opportunity then through Fora for any of the FAMs that come in, whether they are hosted by Fora or if a supplier like a hotel or a cruise line comes to forums and requests that they have agents join. So that opportunity opens up as well. And so me personally, I want to say, yeah, the trip that I took in St. Vincent last month, that was my first FAM that I've taken so far. And really, it comes down to like timing.
Hmm.
Because I am still working a full-time job, I can't take off as much as I would love to go to all of the FAMs that come up. And they also, they can be a little bit short notice, like within 2 months, 2 to 3 months or less.
Hmm.
So it can be a quick turnaround time. So that's the only one I've been on so far, but I have my eyes on more when they come out, probably the summertime.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
How long does your pro status last? So do you have to maintain those sales over the course of every year, or once you're pro, do you get to stay pro or anything like that?
You do have to maintain status. So because I hit pro in 2024, I was pro for like from June on to December 24, and it also extends into this year. So this year
Okay.
I need to requalify for pro to continue it next year.
Okay. I know with some of that repeat business and I know a lot of my business comes from the same family members. So
Hmm.
I know that repeat business is important.
Yeah, definitely. And I've heard this from multiple Fora advisors. And they're like, once you hit pro, it's like so easy to continue, kind of
Hmm.
the snowball effect. And first, I don't know how it works, but it is. I guess you put yourself out there, you start, booking these clients that are repeat clients. You have the opportunity to work with the leads. So I think it gets a little bit easier to to hit those goals. But then on the other hand, I think you also get more comfortable with the idea of being a travel advisor and making the sales, putting yourself out there, things like that.
Definitely. What advice can you give someone who's interested in becoming a travel agent or a travel advisor?
So, a couple things. I think one, consider why you want to be a travel agent advisor. They're the same thing. Um, I think on one end, you can do it as a hobby, and like maybe you just want to get the perks out of it, where you like to travel yourself, so you want to book properties, and get the perks for it, or you want discounts, things of that nature. The other hand is for like, do you want to actually make a business out of this? So, do you want to rise in the ranks or be notable for selling travel? And I am definitely on that end where it's not that I want to be notable or anything, but I recognize it as a business opportunity and the ability to do something that I love. And I didn't always realize that, like, oh, I want to be a travel agent, but I always knew
Hmm.
that I liked planning trips. I'm thinking back to like when I was a kid, I'd be printing out our MapQuest directions to go on family road trips and things like that. So, like, you just, I figured that this is a place for me, and I can kind of see it in my history, not to get all deep, but like just thinking about things that are in my lifetime and things that I've done and just the path that I've been on, like, oh, this has made a lot of sense. And so
Hmm.
I really enjoy doing it from the business side of things. I love working with my clients. I like figuring out what levers I need to pull to get a trip to actually like get off the ground. So when clients are hesitant about one place or one thing, and how do I fix this or change this or suggest something else to make it like, oh, okay, this makes sense to me. I also really enjoy travel and the idea of like first timer travel. So I love booking the luxury, trips and things like that. But I also like to see someone get their passport for the first time and just head out the country, or someone get on their first flight. So those milestones are so important to me. And that's why I will always work with I always think about how, as I get more successful in this, like, oh, do I want to, set like a booking minimum or
Mhm.
something like that. And I don't, because I always want to keep myself available to people who like just want to go on a trip and they need a little bit of help with it, whether it's a cruise, whether it's a road trip, whether they just want to go to Vegas on a flight, things like that. Yeah. So what was the question again? Some,
Just advice
Oh,
for
advice,
somebody
advice,
who's
yeah.
interested.
So, like, think about like why you actually want to do this, because part two to that is that travel and like being a travel advisor, being responsible for people's hard-earned money on their limited time off is a big responsibility. So you want to make sure that you cross your T's, dot your I's, like make sure that you're a person that is attentive to detail, that you are making sure that you're available when things come up, because things do come up. Like, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, remember those flights? Like, I don't even remember what the issue was, but like Delta went down, like all the airlines just
Mhm.
started going down. And I was almost like, yeah, it's cool. And then I realized, like, oh my God, I have a client in the Dominican Republic. And I was like, okay, no, they said it will be done by Monday, and it was not done. So, like, things like that, you've got to be like on it, because like these people traveled out the country for the first time. They were afraid. And I was like, it's nothing to be afraid of, but we'll get you home. We'll figure it out. So those are the things. Like you've got to like work with people. You've got to be big on customer service. And as much as like I've worked customer service in the past and done phone support and things like that, ooh, it's still in travel. Like you've got to still take care of that. You've got to be professional and, be able to answer emails in a timely manner, be able to communicate up the chain, if your client is having a problem at a resort or a hotel, like maybe you need to reach out to the general manager and you need to talk to them in a certain kind of way that's stern, but also still professional. There's so many different layers to being a travel advisor, especially if you're thinking about it, doing it from like, okay, I want this as a business. To keep in mind, that's just not clicking a button, booking a trip, and like, yeah, we're good. We're gonna post this on social media. Like the behind the scenes, it can be a lot. So just keeping that in mind. And I think probably the final thing is just be open to learning. There are so many new resorts. There are so many new destinations. Well, I mean, I don't know that a destination is new, but new to you destinations.
Right,
So
right.
you've got to like be really interested in always keeping up with updates and learning. Like something's going on in Europe, I can't remember, but like in London, the UK, you've got to have something now in order to get to the UK. Like you've got to pre-apply for it, so you can't like apply
Mhm.
for it in air. You got to do it a couple of days before. And clearly, like I don't know the name of it, so I got to learn a little bit more about
Right.
it. But I mean, just updates about travel and visas and this like things like that. Like the Real ID thing is coming up May 7th, I want to say. It's definitely sometime next month, and like gotta have a real ID to fly. So like those are the things you got to keep on top of, especially if you've got clients traveling, so that they can be prepared. Because otherwise, like you do not want to get hit with someone being really mad at you and trashing you on social media, or worse, like suing you. So
Right.
yeah,
100%. You definitely brought up a lot of things that I had not even thought about. So, very good insight. Do
yeah.
you have any exciting trips coming up for your clients?
Oh, let's see. So we're in spring break season. So my
Mhm.
clients, one of my top bookers, she's one of my sorority sisters, so she's been booking with me from the start. They just did a family trip to the Nickelodeon resort in Cancun area.
Mhm.
So I was a little skeptical because she's got two littles and she was going with her in-laws and she's with her husband. I'm like, okay, the kids will definitely love it, but will the adults really like the Nickelodeon resort? And they loved it. It was like a millennial dream to be at the Nickelodeon resort. They got slime, so that was a
That's
lot
what
of
I was gonna
fun.
ask about.
Yeah, it was like the whole 9 yards. They saw all the characters, they made pizza with the Ninja Turtles, it was very cool. So I hope to send more clients there because that was really fun.
I
And
wanna look into
then
that. Mhm.
yeah, there's one in Punta Cana too, so what else we got? We got honeymooners in Cancun right now. They're having a really good time. Then this month in April, I've got some cruisers going out pretty soon on Utopia of the Seas, Royal Caribbean.
Ooh.
I've got a girls' trip back to Mexico. I've got a birthday trip, a birthday girls' trip to Jamaica. I've booked a ton of Jamaica this year. And what else we got? Another group trip to Jamaica in June, or no, August. I feel like another Jamaica's coming up somewhere in there too. Lots of Jamaica this year. So yeah, my clients are definitely hitting up the Caribbean right now. I just got an inquiry to find a London hotel for Beyonce this summer, so that'll be fun.
Yes.
Yeah, and who knows what the rest of the year holds. What I'm hoping in the atmosphere, I would like some Hawaii. I would want some more
Mhm.
cruises in there, like maybe an Alaska cruise. I would love to book one of those. More Europe. Where else do I want to book? I made a list. Ooh, like a Bora Bora, like
Mhm. Okay,
Tahiti
yes.
kind of vibe. I would love that. I really like booking, and I saw in your video that you suggest to niche down, and I technically don't live by that. Like I just want to book anything and everything until I figure
Clearly,
out like
yes.
I don't want to book that anymore. I think because I book a lot of Caribbean, I love that. That's easy for me, but
Mhm.
I want to explore and see what else I like. And so like I'm not saying no to anything yet. And so far I haven't booked a destination. There was one that was a little iffy, but we got it. We got it. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh shoot, I lost my train of thought.
You were talking about exciting travel, but it seems like you started with like your niche started off as your group travel and then you kind of went from there. And that's what I was saying. Like master what the basics first
Yeah.
and then branch out. So I love the fact that you are making it a goal to go further out, whereas
Hmm.
some people might be anxious about that. So
And I will not say like you will definitely get anxious about it. At least I do. When I have a new destination, I'm like, oh my God, can I actually do this? And like that's just a personal thing, low imposter syndrome, but like you can do it. Like Fora gives you
absolutely.
the resources, like the internet is there, like and I think that's one thing that I don't know what people think about travel advisors sometimes, but like I still use Google to like figure things out. But then I take that Google knowledge a step further and I'm like talking with the hotel to get some more details, XYZ. So like I'm still Googling things and trying to figure out, an answer. Like for the Beyonce thing I mentioned in London, like I'm trying to figure out now because I've never been to London. Okay, what is going to be the best hotel, the closest proximity, that's still a nice hotel, that might be a
Mhm.
partner hotel that gives perks. So there's a little
Right.
bit of research, a lot of Googling still going into that.
And you know what? I think you just kind of I've spoken several times in videos about the benefits of having a travel agent
Hmm.
and you have touched on that without even knowing because when it comes to getting in contact with certain people because you're having problems while you're on vacation, that is something that people don't consider if they're booking
Hmm.
themselves. They probably don't even know who to go to. So you definitely touched on a lot of things that I was going to ask anyway. So if our viewers want to get in contact with you, how can they do that?
Yeah, so a couple of ways. My social media, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Catch B Travels, like catch a ball, B for Brittany, and then travels.
Mhm.
So you can reach me there. I am on TikTok, but I mean, I've claimed TikTok, but I'm not there yet, y'all. Like, I'm an elder millennial. I'm trying to get there. And then you can visit my website, catchbtravels.com, if you want to schedule a call or start planning your trip. I have all the details there. I've got a links page and then also a get started link where you can just fill out an inquiry form and shoot that over to me. Also by email, and it's kind of long, but it's Brittany. Hayward@fora.travel. And I know Angel will have that in the description for you as well.
You know it. It's going to be at the bottom of the video. All of your contact details will be there for anyone who wants to get in contact with you. So thank you so much for joining us today and just
Yeah.
providing us with all of your wisdom. It is so good to talk to you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
Happy
Well,
travels, everyone.
yes, happy travels and we'll see you soon.
Bye.